Andros, does it amaze you? Because it certainly amazes me, not his dietary habits, but the fact that big clubs, like your former club Tottenham, like your current club Palace, like Everton, haven't nailed down managers yet.
Yeah, and it's getting towards the end of the off-season now. We're getting into pre-season. You've got 3 big clubs in the Premier League still without a manager. The Palace situation especially, they've felt twice that they've got their man. They're happy with their man. They're excited for the future. And then the manager, for one reason or another, has pulled the plug in the last minute. And it can't be easy to then have to start your whole interviewing process again and have to go back to square one.
That's right. I mean, we're talking Lucien Favre, Simon, as you will know, reportedly turns down Palace. He's opted to take an extended career break. Nice if you can do that. Was he ever the right fit? I mean, where do you think it was going, Simon? Because, the upshot is they didn't get him.
No, I mean, you look at the dynamics what Palace have done over the last 5 or 6 years, and often their reaction has been to go to very tried and trusted individuals that either have had an affiliation with Crystal Palace, because Roy Hodgson was a Palace fan and Alan Pardew was a Crystal Palace player and ultimately had a great relationship with the club, or people that have had a real need to get back into football. Sam Allardyce after the England manager debacle and was there to be taken back into domestic football, and Palace gave him a lifeline at the same time as he gave them their heads and got them out and steered them out of trouble. At the same time as Tony Pulis. Yeah. Now, they've departed twice, once and now potentially twice, into a different territory of looking outside of the box of what people will say is tried and trusted merry-go-round managers, and moved into a territory where they've thought, okay, maybe it's time to evolve something different. Frank de Boer, for whatever happened there, potentially picking teams that didn't meet the requirements of the players that he had in terms of the way that they understood how to play, and trying to change that, and all the revolution that maybe their chairman and their owners wanted to change the way Palace played. Then you've got this next guy that's coming into a different phase in Palace's evolution. You know, there's people suggesting that Wilf Zaha may be on his way, and a lot of people attributing a lot of success to Wilf Zaha. I think that's unfair on the rest of the side, because there's some very good players in that side. One of them sitting across the table from us that do just as much at times with Crystal Palace as Wilf Zaha does. I know the statistics were suggested that the only time they won games when Wilf Zaha was there, but you know, the statistics can be massaged a different way and look at different things in a different direction. But Palace have gone after this guy, and they've gone after Nuno Espírito Santo. Now, I've been an advocate of his, right? And I was one advocating that Tottenham wouldn't be a bad shout for this guy, because I quite like him as a football manager. I quite like the way he sets his sides up. I quite like the way he has built Wolves up into a decent side with the help of Jorge Mendes and ultimately the Portuguese connection. Yeah. But I also understand that he's quite a difficult animal. And a lot would be said, a lot of football managers are difficult animals. There's nothing wrong with being difficult, but there is a way, there are different levels of being difficult. Yeah. And I'm not surprised that Palace sort of pulled away from Espirito Santo and said, hold on a second, you. Don't get ahead of yourself about what you do and don't want. And this other guy that on paper, managing Nice, well, didn't Thierry Henry go and manage Nice? That's no real, Nice aren't a blueprint for what we want as a manager in the Premier League. Mönchengladbach and Dortmund more so. But if it's to be believed that he doesn't want to come here, and I know the Bielsa argument that he doesn't want to learn the language either, but what you want to hear from your manager, at least lip service, is A, I want to dial it in and I want to come in and be really focused. Exactly. B, I'm going to play the game and illustrate that I'm going to learn some language. And C, I want to live in the area. Exactly. And if you're not hearing that, then I'm not a great admirer of Paris. If you're not hearing that. Did you hear
much, Andros?
I heard it was almost done.
Favre?
Yeah, I heard Favre was almost done. I heard they were getting ready to start the work permit process, and he was getting ready to fly over to start his quarantine before pre-season. So I don't understand how you get through the negotiation stage, the interview stage, you agree the contract, and then at the last minute you decide you don't have the motivation for it. I don't understand how...
Something changed.
Yeah, there must be something
changed.
Yeah.
I think it's money, Jim. I think what's going on at this moment in time, unless you're joining a club that's prepared to write out cheques like Manchester United might be, Chelsea might be, and Man City clearly are, then you're in a territory where I think everyone else is sort of still looking through the prism of there ain't a lot of dough about. Now, I know Palace have suggested that they were going to have a go this year, and there were some suggestions that they were going to spray a bit of cash around. I'm not sure that's real, and I'm not sure that wouldn't have been funded by the transaction of Wilfried Zaha.
You're laughing, Andrew.
No, it's just the way he just said suggested, the way he was obviously sceptical of it.
I am slightly sceptical of it because I'm not suggesting that they won't do it. I'm suggesting that they haven't done it previously, and they've only ever done it when they bought Christian Benteke. They bought it with Yannick Bolasie money, and that tends to be nothing wrong with that blueprint. You know, I'd like to have had that blueprint when I ran Palace because obviously, clearly, you've got the opportunity to do it. But I don't think there are a lot of clubs that are going to spray money around, and I think managers. My point is, managers walking through the door now are a commodity that have a sense of entitlement about what they should and shouldn't get, and I think unless they get precisely what they want without nuance or any adjustments, they start to pull back and go, well, I don't know, do I need that much?
But I think for me, if you've got 10 players out of contract and you're saying you have a transfer budget to spend, would you not tend to believe them because they need to replace these 10 players?
True, but that doesn't mean you're going to go and put transfer fees on the players that you're replacing, does it? It's one thing replacing their wages, it's another thing ponying up the money to buy them in the first place. You guys going out of contract, I'll just use you in this situation because I don't know what's going to happen with you in a longer game. But let's say you go out of contract, right? Then they're not getting anything for you, right? So they haven't got money from you. All they can do then is replace your wages with someone else coming in, unless they're going to go again with both wages and transfer fees.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So they'd have to, if they've got 10 players all out of contract, they're going to have to replace them with not only their wages, but they're going to have to spend
money. But they
money.
won't leave all 10 out of contract, will they? There'll be some of them that will potentially be given different contracts. You might find yourself in a situation where they make you an offer that makes sense to you.
What are you hearing, Andros? How many are going to be out of contract?
Well, I know there's definitely 10 out of contract.
10?
There's 10. There was 11. Christian Benteke re-signed. The rest of us, they've kind of said, we want to wait until the new manager comes in. And then I got a call.
But is that coming from you or coming from them?
What?
Wait for the new manager coming through the
No, they said to me, before the end of the season, said to me, wait for the new manager to come in. And then
you got a call. Did you?
And then I spoke to someone, they said, new manager's meant to come in back end of this week, start of next week, and then we'll sit down. But obviously now we've forever turning down. I'm sure that set the process back, but
doesn't help anybody, does it? I'm just seeing in the YouTube chat there, Erin Yeager saying it's simple. Make Andros Townsend player manager at Palace.
Oh, I've just started my B license as well, so I've got the credentials.
There you go.
And he bring his mate Ryan Mason in with him.
Oh, here we go.
But then last night, what we saw on social media was hashtag no to Nuno, and this was Tottenham fans, Andros, who are saying, hang on, are you kidding us? After talk of Ten Hag, Antonio Conte, Gattuso, Fonseca, and now you're expecting Nuno through the door. And I tell you what, some of it was quite vitriolic. I mean, I'm looking at some of the tweets. Nothing against Nuno as a person, I'm sure he's lovely. I don't want him to manage our football club. There's another one. In my entire life of business dealings, I have never, and I mean never, encountered such a level of embarrassing and shambolic farcical incompetence as this Spurs managerial hunt. They are not having it.
I understand.
But that's a lot of old cobblers.
Yeah, see,
that's a lot of old nonsense.
How's that a load of old cobblers?
Because ultimately you have to interview, you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you get a prince. And just because everybody's running around finding out that football clubs are talking to managers doesn't mean that doesn't happen in every single football club. You don't alight upon the manager that you want every single time and get him. You have a series of discussions. Unfortunately for Tottenham,
whether we're talking to Ten Hag, Nuno was available. Whether we're talking to Conte, Nuno was available. Whether we're talking to Gattuso, Nuno was available. And if you're Nuno Espírito
Santo and you're sat there on the other side of this argument and going, what am I, last on the rung? Am I last cab off the rank then?
Yeah.
You know, you're in his world. Well, yeah, you are actually, because you're a bit of a pain in the backside. But insofar as Tottenham's ambition, yeah, of course, what you've done is you've showed all these Tottenham fans this wonderful, list of people that are on paper. By the way, I don't think Paulo Fonseca falls into that category, but let's just say he does for the purpose of this discussion. This wonderful list of people that people think are high-end managers, and then people are thinking, hang on a second, we've got this runt of the litter, which is Nuno Espírito Santo. Well, these other guys, get Conte in the door. Just because Conte, on paper, is a winner, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to turn a sow's ear into a silk purse. Because currently...
He's not a winner on paper, he's a winner.
No, of course he is, but along with that comes a degree of casualty and a degree of fallouts and people becoming disillusioned by his perspective. Most normally,
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Well, look in it. He's won the league with Inter Milan, right?
No, sorry, I thought you were talking about Nuno. We're talking about Nuno.
No, I'm talking about Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
He's won the league with Inter Milan, right? And because football's having to face a recession in Italy, he doesn't want to accept the fact they've got to cut their wage bill, so he's gone, I'm off. Right, now you can understand that because he's in a position.
But he has come and gone. So too is Gattuso. So too is Fonseca.
Hold on.
I mean, Andros, you're looking at this. Am I in a minority of one here?
Yeah.
Look at all the tweets last night. They're all saying, what? Nuno? Well, in actual fact, hashtag no to Nuno. Thanks.
Yeah, I agreed when the fans said they didn't want Gattuso, but I think Spurs can do far worse than Nuno Espírito Santo. I think he's dragged Wolves up from the Championship. He's got them into Europe. He's made them into a stable Premier League club. They're playing good football. They attract good players because of the Mendes link. So I think that'd be a good appointment for Spurs if they wanted to do that.
So I said that from the outset. When you did, to be fair. I did say that, but I don't like the way he's behaved. I don't like people that sit there and say one thing and do another. Now, that is football full stop, and perhaps I should go up and smell the roses, as I've had to regularly in my past. But the fact of the matter is, don't make it right. If Tottenham Hotspur, or Crystal Palace in this instance, and Everton have interviewed this guy and found him to be disingenuous and duplicitous, there's no reason to suggest that Tottenham won't find him any different. No, I understand why the fans are saying it.
But Sammy, what's wrong with a manager coming in before he signs on the dotted line? He's laying down some demands.
Depends what those demands are.
He wants to win.
But if you're a football club owner and you're bright enough to know the industry, and whatever I do and don't think of Steve Parish, he's been running it long enough to know how it works, right? So if he's out there telling people that they've got Nuno Espírito Santo, it's because they've had a deal. And I know that it's something naive about shaking someone's hand in football and believing that's a deal, but if you've got a deal with somebody, you have a deal, and nothing's fundamentally changed on the basis of that deal. And believe me, a football manager with his scabby agent will be sat there telling you precisely what they want from the get-go, right? And if they think you're getting pushed over more, they'll ask for more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And I think there's something duplicitous about it. But when you're looking at Tottenham's ambition, Antonio Conte is a difficult one. He's like nailing a jelly to the wall. It's difficult to get someone like him into shape because Tottenham, unless they're going to give him exactly what they want, and they ain't Man City, and they're not Man United, and they can't do it. So I think Tottenham's ambition for going for these things is an Achilles heel for them now because they're now being smacked around the face with it.
I don't know about you, Andros. The first thing I'm going to do when I go home today is attempt to nail a jelly to the wall. I've never done it.
That's
I've never
the point,
tried it.
You twit.
It could get messy. Andros, can you see Nuno at Tottenham?
I could see Nuno at Tottenham, yeah. And I think from what I've seen at Wolves, I've been fortunate enough to play his Wolves sides for the last few years, and they're a very well-drilled unit. He's got them playing good football. His record speaks for itself and his success. So if Tottenham wanted to go down that route, I think they should. They shouldn't turn their nose up at it for sure.
Look at James Ward on YouTube. Grow up, Simon. It's all about money. James shouldn't have to tell you that. It's all about money.
Well, of course, everything's about money.
But Nuno goes into Tottenham. You don't have much of a budget. He says, don't worry, I'll take it. Don't be ridiculous.
No, that's not the point I'm saying. I'm saying that if you agree something and you understand the parameters of what you've agreed because you're a big boy with a big mouth, then you don't subsequently say you're going to do something and do something completely different.
Have you never, in your footballing career or outside, have you never sat down and negotiated something in the last minute? Thought, actually, I want this. I want to include this.
Of course. And if it's reasonable, then a reasonable person would react to it in a reasonable fashion. They wouldn't say sling your hook, would they? They'd say, well, okay, fair enough. That's not unreasonable. But if it becomes expansive and unrealistic, then of course I'd say do one because you're being ridiculous. But the problem for Tottenham fans is they're buying into the hype and the belief that he doesn't play a particular brand of football that people like. Right. Because I've heard that accusation made of him that he plays a brand of football which is pragmatic football, which is counter-attacking football, and Tottenham don't want to be Nuno. Tottenham don't want to be that way.
Is that true?
I disagree with that. Having played his Wolves side.
I'm not saying that. Okay. That's what people have said when the first reaction came out about this fella.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break. I'm keen to hear from some Tottenham fans this morning. Were you on social media last night taking part in #NoToNuno? If so, why? 08717 223344 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning 10 till 1 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.